Hello, my name is Grant, otherwise known as NewJourneysFire. I'm going to do an LP today of a different game. Right now, I'm going to go a little bit, you've been used to watching me play the Ninja Gaiden games, but now I'm going to take a little bit of a similar direction, but different. The game I'm going to play right now is quite similar to gameplay-wise as the Ninja Gaiden games, but it's also fairly different as well. I'm also going to move to the 16-bit era. So the game I'm going to play, as you can see on the screen, is Super Castlevania 4. I don't know why it says save there because I'm starting right at the beginning. As you can see on the screen, it says save Super Castlevania 4, but that's none of my concern. Okay, let's start playing this wonderful game. There's the Konami logo right there. Now keep in mind this is an emulation, but I actually own an official copy of the game. I do not play games that I do not own myself when I do these. Because I'm not into actual pirating. I don't share games, and again, I don't play them unless I own them myself. This game is a masterpiece. I have to be quite honest with you. It is. I've never really got into it when I was younger. I kind of gave up too fast. I actually, believe it or not, I actually got into this game a couple of years ago. And I've loved it ever since. Now, for most people who've been there during the beginning, they'd be the ones that really tell you how much a masterpiece this game is. Every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously start to weaken. Thus, the power of Dracula starts to revive itself. His power grows stronger and stronger every 100 years. Dracula has revived many times. However, his sinister actions have been consistently thwarted by the Belmont family. It's been 100 years since the last confrontation between Dracula and the Belmont family. But now the serenity of Transylvania is being threatened by destructive forces. On a dark and airy night, Dracula rose from his grave to unleash his destructive power over the countryside. Once again, Simon Belmont is called upon to destroy Dracula. With only his wit and courage, he sets out to restore peace to Transylvania. It's very rare, especially in this day and age, it's very rare for a remake to actually be much better than the original. Take how many times they've tried to remake GoldenEye in many different ways. They tried to create a brand new game with the GoldenEye title, and not only that, they actually literally tried to remake GoldenEye. I think it started out on the Wii, and then it just went all over, and nobody liked it. Well, I can't say that. It was an enjoyable game, and I enjoyed it. I beat it right to the end. But it just felt like it wasn't working to me. The whole area looks like one big, ancient town on the outside. That's one thing I have to say that, interestingly enough, I can't say I missed, because I started out playing Castlevania with being Symphony of the Night, and I'm pretty sure most Castlevania games would even call this one or Symphony Night. So I'm the one that started off there, and then I went to Game Boy Advance games and tried a couple of their projects for the PlayStation games. In fact, the very first Castlevania game I ever played was for Nintendo 64, and that jaded me from the series for oh so long after. I would never play Castlevania for years because, again, I think I played this one when I was young, but I was just so interested in other games at the time that even then I said, nah, I never really did give it a chance. And then when the Nintendo 64 Castlevania games came out, I'm like, ugh, it's like, this series is terrible. But then, of course, Symphony of the Night came out, and I wouldn't even be a Castlevania fan if it weren't for that. I remember the first time I played Symphony of the Night, my friend got it. He says, man, you gotta play this game. I don't remember, he liked the Nintendo 64 Castlevania. And I said to him, listen, I can't play this. Listen, I know you like Castlevania, but I can't play it. It's just not the game for me. And I've heard myself say that, I hear myself say that to a friend who wanted me to play Dark Souls recently. I don't say names, but it just was the game for me, and that almost sounds like the same story. I didn't get a chance, but again, I was looking at Castlevania for the Nintendo 64 and judged the whole series based upon that. So I started with Symphony of the Night, and it was unbelievably good. I loved it. It turned out to be one of my favorite games ever. And that's saying a lot, considering this was, considering like all the Super Nintendo games I grew up on, and it's at the point now I'm embarrassed that I skipped this game. I am. I'm very embarrassed I skipped this game. Now back to what I was saying. This game is a remake of the very first Castlevania, and again, it's very surprising to get a remake that. Well, some could say the first Castlevania game is the best, some could say it's not. It all bases on opinion. But I believe personally the remake's better. And that's good, considering remakes do get judged harshly, not only just for being remakes, but even like changes. People don't like the changes that includes remakes. Recently, I watched a movie, the new Evil Dead movie, and it only goes to show, though the movie was fun, it was chilling, it was an excellent movie. It would have made, if they had labeled it a sequel, I would have been more forgiving. Because as a movie, it's a fun, great movie, but as a remake, I think they totally hacked up the whole franchise. In other words, it was a terrible, the idea of it being a remake was terrible. I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone, so I won't say anything. So, the only way I could possibly like this movie is by calling it the only way I could like this movie is by calling it a sequel. Yeah. And that again, that's what my argument about remakes. It's never really left a good taste in people's mouth. I like to see other examples where remakes are better. I want to think there right now. I think Metroid Zero Mission, though the whole world could probably argue saying that game is garbage, I think Metroid Zero Mission is a very complimentary remake. I really do. Perhaps the remakes transitioning from the 8-bit to the 16-bit, or whatever you call Game Boy Advance, is a good thing. But I don't know if that's always been the case. I guess I've heard examples of both, none that I can recall right now. Now, until now, I've pretty much haven't really shut up, and that's good because, well, good and bad. But it's better than an LP with no talking. It's also better than an LP when the person is acting very immaturely. And I'm pretty sure we've all watched a few LPs where the person is acting very immaturely. It's like their LPs are just not enjoyable to watch. It really isn't. Now, most people who are going to be watching this LP, at least right now anyways, because I'm only fairly known in the Zelda classic community. Zelda, ain't that a great franchise that has not created an identity for itself? But that's fine. That is Zelda's identity. This ever-changing thing. That Zelda's identity reflects Nintendo, and that kind of scares me knowing their current state of affairs. But anyways, yeah. So Zelda Classic. Well, this might sound like an advertisement bit, but anyways, I'm not even going to get to that. I'm just going to say most people who know me is from there. So if for those who are not part of the Zelda Classic thing, you can look it up if you want, but I ain't going to get into details about that. But, like I says, with it, I am making my own quest called Souls of Wisdom 2, The Darkness Within. The title for that may change if I can think of a title that is better, but since the titles remain so long, I'm not very sure what I'm planning on doing with that title. Now, for those who are familiar with Zelda Classic and are familiar with playing my quests, this song may come familiar to you. Especially in my new quest, it will be coming in my new quest, but it was also in my quest Shattered Courage. And if I recall, I'm actually planning on using it in the exact kind of theme. In Shattered Courage, I believe the song was for a lava stage. I think it was level 5. My memories of that game ain't quite good. For Souls of Wisdom 2, I'm having a lava stage, so it's kind of like I am bringing nostalgia of my old quest to my new quest, while also adding some new themes as well. But yeah, this song here from this level here, before I even played the game, I found the song at VGmusic.com, and I've always taken a liking to it right from the very get-go. And I'm still talking, and you're like, oh well, okay, you're talking about the song, let us hear the song. So I'm just gonna chill out and relax from talking, and you listen to the song, and you tell me what you think. And then I shut off the song. Okay, that's enough of that there now, of just song listening. So anyways, yeah, it's a very good song. There's also another song in this game that I've chosen in my old Shattered Courage. I use as a graveyard stage. Can you say that's ironic or not? I don't know. But anyways, I don't want that much. I like this garbage. Well, it's not garbage in a lot of circumstances. Sometimes I'm thankful it's there, but it's my least favorite sub-item. But anyways, so yeah, I've taken also after playing a few of these side-scrolling games. That's probably half the reason I'm playing them subconsciously with my sub-items. Yeah, that's corny. But anyways, okay. Before I continue, this boss here seems so insignificant to most people who play this game. It's dead so quick, And so it's just Medusa, it's just a part of Roman mythology. But for those who are a little bit more in tune to the series, which I am now, like considering I've beat most of Castlevania games, I only decided to go backwards in later period. But I discovered that Castlevania's main, like pretty much the main click to Castlevania is the use of Dracula as the final boss. But not only that, a lot of pop culture monsters are part of the Castlevania series. Makes me wonder why Ninja Gaiden has Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees would probably be an enemy like Jason Voorhees, not him exactly, but an enemy like him would probably be a great Castlevania villain, considering their choice of monsters they usually have. Anything as popular as it. Frankenstein's monsters in it. Now, if you notice, I commented Frankenstein's monster, and a lot of people say, "What? You mean Frankenstein?" No, Frankenstein was actually the name of the doctor, while the monster was actually the name of the creature. In fact, the creature had a different name, to be honest. Or he referred himself to as a different name. But I'm not really I don't remember, maybe someone could look it up. But I don't remember the name the creature actually called himself. But for most aspects, everyone knows him as Frankenstein. He's not Frankenstein. The doctor is Frankenstein. But we're so used to it. It's just as well that he'd be Frankenstein in some regards. But you may insult some horror fanatics by getting that wrong. I have to be honest, because some people don't like that mistake being made. But anyways, for all intents and purposes, in this game, he's known as the creature. And in most cases, that's all he's known as. And so that's another boss. The Mummy makes an appearance in these games. A lot of people who's played this game has seen the Mummy, and it's like, oh yeah, these are just the bosses from Castlevania 4. But, hold on one second, I just received a message from my phone. Bear with me just for a second. Okay, that was just a friend of mine. She's staying with me for a few days, but she's currently at her place, and like she helps me out. So she was just asking some questions about if there's anything I need where she's coming in. Okay, let's continue. But now, I forget exactly what I was saying because of that distraction. So I'm gonna start getting talked to about one thing that I mentioned about side-scrolling and about as regards to my game, the game that I'm making. I think subconsciously, in a way, I'm playing these side-scrolling games. It was not even on my mind. It was not even intentional. That's why I say subconsciously. But it's like how do I even say what I'm trying to say? Like, I want to make my quest, Souls of Wisdom 2, fantastic. And it will be, and nothing will stop me unless Nintendo decides to change their mind about Zelda Classic in general, and pretty much say, yeah, you guys are going to have to stop this Zelda Classic thing. And then if Nintendo gets to that point of view, well, then, yeah, there will be no Souls of Wisdom 2. But, unless that happens, there will certainly be, because it's, like I said, the Zelda Classic has been around for a good decade, and they're very well loved. People who's making the quests really know how to make their quests incredibly fantastic. I've played a few of others, and I've made a few myself, and I do enjoy the perks of actually creating something that people love, and I still love that feeling, and that's why I want to do it. And now there's a lot of ambitious quest designers who only get into the quest making world for that one purpose. They want their quest to be famous and recognized, or even if it's something more subtle, like they want to create something that will be loved. But if that is their only goal and their only purpose, they will approach the quest designing on an immature level that instantly tells everyone they're not quite ready to build a quest. And I've noticed that people are less inclined to help a person build their quest if their intentions seems of that of a selfish nature. Ain't that like everything in life, though? But now, like says, at the same time, this is why I say, and now everyone there says, you build the quest for yourself. You don't build it to please others, and you will make a better quest. I believe in balance. I have to be quite honest. I believe in a level of balance. It's good business to keep others in mind. It really, even though it's not really a business, but it's my saying. I'm pretty sure on the message forum of Pure ZC, I'm pretty sure someone has heard me say that once. It's good business, I would say. But it really is, because if you make a quest selfishly, just for you will run in on your quest design habits will be, if someone says, "Oh, can I make a suggestion?" No, I will build my quest the way I want it, and it's not comforting. And when people feel like that's it, it's like, oh, my way or the highway, and all that. Because it seems like the people who build a quest just for themselves still want that recognition, still wants that, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And even when people are stubborn, it's just, how do I put it? It's unfriendly. I'll put it that way. It's good business, and it's just generally friendly in general to keep the other person in mind. And that's why I think that when we build our quest, we should build it for ourselves to a certain extent. In other words, not build it in a way that we have to please others, build in a way that we enjoy making it, but also have a good focus of pleasing others. If that makes any sense at all. I'm hoping it does, because part of everything I'm just saying is just rambling away. Because I like talking in LPs, and I will discuss everything that comes on my mind. That's all I got killed for, is that big heart. Ugh. Right now, I'm in pretty much the easy part of the game, which is surprisingly, for the first time people ever play this game, this is surprisingly one of the harder parts of the game. This part, the cave part, and this ruins part, is the part that usually makes or breaks the people from continuing. The reason why I know this is because this is the part where I gave up on when I was really young. And it's because it's how far you get sent back. Because if I lose my 4 men and I'm forced to continue, even at the boss at the end of all this, I get sent right back to the beginning of the caves. This day, at the age I am now, getting sent back, like, what, after you work jobs like 12 hours a day and stuff like that, when you adapt to that lifestyle, getting sent back is not a frustration. 12-hour shifts is a frustrating. Working in a big truck delivering Coca-Cola products all over the place, that is frustrating. I love the job, but it was bloody hard. Now, mine are the jokes and all that. I even had that joke even at an employment center once. It's like I said to a lady at an employment center, the government employment center. I would say, she goes, "Tell me about some jobs you had." Oh, I would say I would deliver Coke products in a truck all around all around the province, and she'd just look at me as a joke. Oh, so you're a drug dealer? you were a coke dealer, she said. I goes, and then I laughed. I goes, yes, I was a coke dealer, and every person who was not in, every person in the room, because it was a big room, and like the interview or whatever whatnot was in the corner, everyone looked my way because they were wondering what the hell were they just hearing. Someone just said they're a coke dealer in a government employment center, but only me and the counselor knew we were actually talking about Coca-Cola. But it was all funny all the same. Well, but yeah, so going back, getting sent back a couple levels, not a frustration. But when I was little and my attitude seems like a common attitude in gaming today, any bit of frustration, such as being sent back, was unacceptable. Like as hard as A Link to the Past was, A Link to the Past was more forgiving. They had battles, even though today's Zelda is forgiving. Like, battles are garbage today. I don't even want them. It makes the game too easy. Oh, and that just knocked me down. Yeah, battles. Oh, I hate battles today. But back in the time when A Link to the Past was on the go, man, you're thankful you got battles. And it's like I remember when I played Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time is when my hate of battles in the Legend of Zelda first started happening. It started because I loved it. It's like, sweet. It's like I said, sweet, I got out of battles, right? But little did I know, I hardly had any use for them. Yeah, sure, the first time I played the game, getting used to the controls back in the 90s, it's like, yeah, well, okay, these battles are useful. By the time you reach the end of the game, and that little bit of pride feeling, it's like, sweet, I got all 4 bottles when you do that fucking ghost quest. It's like, sweet, I got all 4 bottles. Well, joke's on you, buddy. That's one of the most tedious side quests in the game that you will probably save for last, and by the time you get your bottles, you don't even want them. Oh, and it's been like that ever since. Except for Skyward Sword, which the controls were... You could blame it on the controls, but I've had to use battles in Skyward Sword more than most Zelda games that came out in the past 10 years or more. So... I gotta give kudos to Skyward Sword for that, but then once I've mastered the game, battles became used in Skyward Sword too. Odd became then is just somewhere. It's like a collection. It's like, sweet, I got a blue potion, a red potion. It became just for goofy shit fun then. Now, hold on. Whoa! With this dragon, see, the first time people play, they just adapt to it. It's like, what is the strategy for this guy? And they leave themselves vulnerable because they stand close they can to it down there. And usually they don't move. I find when people are first adapting to the boss, including myself, it's the hardest thing in the world is to move, because I guess you're frightened into them, like you're petrified. And then after, once you get better, it's like, shit, wait, I could just jump over that fireball. But when you see these 2 big heads coming at you, there's a petrified feeling that all you want to do is just stand in one spot, whip and shoot axes. So that's one thing I find very fun about when you thread into a brand new game, especially a game of this nature, is that you see an expert person will see you play, will know what to do, they know the jumps to make, they know what to do, and then they look at someone new playing, it's like, they sit there, it's like, what the hell is the person doing? They're standing in one spot. But it is. There actually is a petrified feeling people will play in a game, especially that has some kind of horror theme, such as this, even though it's not really much horror going on here. But yeah, so when you face that new challenge, there is a bit of that petrified theme. same as for Ninja Gaiden. A lot of people consider Ninja Gaiden games hard, and a lot of people will also tell you that once you get used to the games, they're not hard. Well, the first challenge we all got to accept in these kind of games is stop being so damn petrified. We got to move. We got to figure out the boss's pattern. We got to stop standing in one spot and shooting our axes and hope that this is how the boss is defeated. But it's our first reaction, and a lot of people say no, that don't account for everybody. But I play the game with comfort, and when I see someone new playing the game, I see that petrified. I see them sitting in one spot. I know someone who watched one of my videos, and say, "This is, yeah, that was easy enough for sure." But then, when they actually played, this was Ninja Gaiden 3, they jumped on the wall, and a couple things started going after them, and they could not even move from the wall. Should I coin the term game petrification? Yes, maybe I should. Probably was already coined, though. Maybe someone in the video game community has already coined the petrification that games of these natures tend to cause people who are not prepared for them, not ready, and who are new, pretty much walking into unfamiliar territory. Sorry, I had to get silent for this guy, because this guy he's not hard. He shoots a lot of one-offs at you, but he's not a overly tricky boss. Now this is cool. This is one respects I gotta give to Konami as well. This is where I will give respects to Konami. There are very few games that I've seen that used this type, I think it's called 8 mode or something, I'm not sure. But this type of mode, which was capable on the Super Nintendo, there's not very many games that actually used 8 mode. 8 mode type of graphical style like Konami does. But you see it in this instance here. You only see it once, but they didn't just make this part look cool. But 8 mode was a rare thing seen in Super Nintendo games that I know of. But it was always pretty cool. But what 8 mode usually means is the ability to turn the entire screen in a 180 direction, and I thought that was fantastic. I think Konami did a better job of this in Contra for Super Nintendo. Super Contra, or Contra 3 Alien Wars, is my favorite Contra game, but yet it gets no respect for it. In fact, it's like, I'm wondering if the video game community just thinks it's like, this is where Contra first started to go downhill, and that depresses me, because Contra 3 Alien Wars for Super Nintendo was one of the first games I ever owned. My brother bought it. In fact, because I never had no choice in what games I owned when I first got the Super Nintendo, because my brother chose all the games, I was actually forced into playing Contra, just looking for games to play. And, well, it was never a bad choice. I'm glad that he made that choice, because it was one of the first Super Nintendo games I ever owned, and it still is today one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. But yet, I have yet to meet very many people who can say that as much as I can. Every person will talk about Contra for Nintendo or Super C, and it's like, and everybody I would talk to is like, yeah, after that it went downhill. I go, what do you mean it went downhill? It's like it made me feel bad about one of my favorite games and my favorite Contra game. And I will be doing an LP next on it about doing Contra in hard mode. Yes. So I will talk about this Konami game, Contra, right now. Is that, as far as difficulty is concerned, I think that Contra game is much harder than this game. As hard as this game could be, but it's not real. This is not even a hard game, I just will say. On par as difficulty, this game reminds me of the difficulty of Contra on normal mode. for Super Nintendo. Some people may not like the Contra for Super Nintendo, saying it's too easy compared to the predecessors. I'm not even saying a word right. Well, compared to what they originally made for Nintendo. But I'll be first to tell you that Contra 3: The Alien Wars on hard mode is maybe not only on par, but probably even harder than its Nintendo predecessors. I probably still said that wrong, but please forgive me. Sometimes I have trouble with certain words and I don't even know why. This guy is weird. Like, he's a weird boss. Oh! I thought for sure I had him, especially with my double axe. And if you wonder what I mean by a double axe, is that sometimes in these stages you'll pick up a little square that says 2 in Roman numerals or 3 in Roman numerals. That usually means, I used to thought it would have something to do with points, but I figured out after it has everything to do with your sub item. You could, with your single axe, you can only throw in this game 1 axe or any item. With just one, you can only throw 1 cross, for example, and you have to wait until the cross is either like disappeared from the screen or he catches it or whatever that vanishes from the screen before you can shoot another one. With the items, the Roman numeral 2 and 3, that changes that. So if you have the Roman numeral 3, you can shoot 3 axes in a row. I did not know that. I've beaten this game 2 or 3 times before I even knew what they'd done, and that's too bad because now it makes me like want to know where all these teams are located too. But from playing this game now, after noticing that and looking out for these things, I know their locations are more randomized than I originally thought. Yeah. I found myself not overly good with this guy. I find my fighting with this guy is rather iffy than most of the bosses. Some of the bosses there's a bit of strategy, other bosses, oh shit. Oh! See, in this game, if I had died then, I would have still lost, because in this game, you do not win until you grab the orb, as silly as that sounds. If I had beat the boss and put down a controller, because you cannot pause, and went out for a coffee break, I would have died due to time. The time would have actually ran out, even though I have already beaten the boss, but I have not picked up the orb. That is something, if anyone is new to this game, should very well know to stop their frustration. Now, I will be right back. I gotta step away from the computer for a minute, and so I'm going to pause this. Okay, I'm back. I got the game on pause there now, so anyways, let's continue. Now this is probably one of my favorite parts of the games. It's not because of anything of value in the level itself. There's not even a boss, but it's just a feeling this level provides. Because everything to me is about, because I started with Castlevania, Symphony of the Night for Sony PlayStation, and the games that preceded it, everything to me that I knew of the Castlevania series began inside the Castlevania castle. So a lot of the games that did not include that, well, especially this one, seemed foreign to me. It's like, wait, the castle, like I'm not even starting in the castle. It seems so interesting, but now I actually cherish it, especially this part, because this feels like this is it. This now, like I just take a long journey, but now I'm there. This is and the feeling this area gives me, even though every part of the area so far, every part of the game so far is all monsters and creatures and all that. This area just feels so secluded that I cannot possibly believe that another human being would survive in this area. Unlike newer Castlevania games where there's other characters, other people, this is the only Castlevania it feels like that I'm away from home, because I cannot possibly feel that if I had, like, if I followed the story, like the feeling of the game, I cannot possibly feel another human being could have gotten to this location. This area feels so dead. It feels like it feels like a castle. It feels like something that should be populated, but it is so dead, and that's what I love about this area. So I'm gonna get started right now, and I think the music sets it up too. Oh, hold on there. Bear with me for 1 second. I just received a message. Okay, let's begin. Yeah, I think the music really does it. It really gives the this is it. It's like you're about to enter hell, but it's like this whole everything about this area feels like it's like there should be people here. This is the only Castlevania that ever, for me, that ever felt like that ever made the castle itself seem so creepy, because it feels like it was actually a real castle before it became a castle of demons and monsters. And this part here is like, here we go. This is it. You're about to enter hell. Have fun. Maybe I should put this song in my game. Again, keep in mind the songs are MIDI format, and according to what I know about the MIDIs, is that they're mostly found in video game music, but they're not really considered. Some people would I don't know what to consider them, to be honest, because I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I sometimes get caught up like that, so I'll just leave it alone. But as I was saying, for my game Souls of Wisdom 2, that song that just happened before this one, I think that would have been a perfect MIDI. And even this one could. But this one here sounds too much like Super Metroid. And I like that similarity too. It's like sometimes this game, like the music of this game feels like Super Metroid. And that's probably the most interesting part. It's probably how Konami made the connection of making Symphony Night a Metroid-style game, because of that, well, not that similarity, that one similarity, but it's just something, there was a connection that seemed like it was bound to happen. And here we go, Dracula's Castle. And just right away, you just feel like this is fantastic. This is where I started really loving the game. It's like, I'm here. I love this. Yeah, this game, I guess maybe it's the nostalgia of what I'm used to as Castlevania. and I just loved the castle. But before the first time playing the game again, it took me a while to warm up to it because it wasn't part of my childhood. But then it was like, here we go. This is everything I know about Castlevania, and it just made everything else so much better. Because everything else in the game up to this point now feels like the warm up or whatever you call it, is like the stuff that leads up to it, and it just made the whole package just 100 times better. I simply love this game. Now, before I continue up here, these stairs here, if you ever play this game, pay attention to these stairs. These stairs can kill you if I believe they're the right ones, because what ends up happening is if I keeps going up the stairs by holding diagonal, the game automatically takes me up so far anyways, and before I even realize it, I'm walking off the edge. The best thing you should do here is just hold up. And I find that with a lot of steps that has a little weird part at the end. The best thing you do, like weird part as in chance of walking off, like is like some steps are about stupid like that. So sometimes on steps it's best just to hold up rather than hold towards or at an angle. I usually press the angle because the angle feels the best, right? But anyways, yeah, some of these parts. Look, I just held up. I didn't even press the direction, and this is where the stairs led me to. Like, by rights, shouldn't I have ended here if I was just holding up? So imagine if I was holding over. Yeah, like, there's something, they mixed up something there. Something didn't go right. But oh well, it's just a small thing. Some people find this so hard because I guess it's the disorienting feeling of this part. But I've rarely died in this part. Not to say that I won't, but I'm very confident in this part. They don't disorient me, and even when these things are going in a different direction, I seem to have a gut feeling, seem to know how to control my jumps, to never worry about this spot. But yet this spot scares the shit out of some people. Now, I must let you know while I'm playing this, my son he's in bed taking a nap. Sure, the whole time I was playing this, and he could wake up at any time, so the moment he wakes up, I will definitely have to pause this and check up on him. And I may either end the video there or choose to continue, but you'll be probably hearing him and also two dogs barking at each other because the two dogs we have here are a bit nuts. And then lead that over with a little toddler who's also a little bit nuts himself. He's my son after all, so he has to be a bit nuts because he's like his old man. So add all that to the mixture, and I hate those. I hate the enemies in this area right now, but they're not hard, but they're tricky. Those enemies there don't bother me too much. They remind me of they remind me of the skulls that are in Zelda 2 for the NES, the ones you gotta hit 100 times. But a lot of someone has asked me before, why do you want to hit that? Why do you want to hit it for? I said to him, it's like, hey, they give you 50 experience by short. It probably takes like what 90 something hits to kill, but considering like in the first dungeon, in the very first dungeon of the game, later on in the game, doesn't matter, but you can kill them easily later on in the game anyways. But in the very first dungeon, you don't want to really spend your time killing them, but considering they give you 50 experience points, which only the strongest enemies gives you at that part of the game, you kinda do want to attack those skulls. They're easy experience points. Now here I am giving a tip for another game in this game. Easy to tell I ramble off a little bit. One thing that makes this Castlevania one of my new favorites, and one that makes me realize that it should have always been my favorite, is the multi-directional whip. It's definitely something that made me, like, it's so good the series really tried to compensate for the mistake that they did with Symphony of the Night. Because the multi-directional whip is much better than Alucard's sword, at least for most of the game. Alucard's sword gets better, but even in all areas, this multi-directional thing is a lot better. Oh yeah, but it is 8 directions, but the only way to get the down directions, you got to be in the air. See? So you got 8 directions. Something that, from what I recall, I don't think any other Castlevania has ever done. It's almost insane why it was never done. It simply gives you a full feeling of control for Son and Belmont. And I feels like I'm quoting AVG in there now. I really do, because I think he said the exact same thing. And if you're wondering who AVGN is, most of you must know, but if you don't, he's the angry video game nerd. And if you don't know who that is, his real name is James Rolfe, and he hosts his website on a website called Cinemassacre. He reviews shitty games or hard games. That's his stick. It doesn't always have to be shitty games, because sometimes he would say, it's like he would say, I love this game, but boy is it hard. And so it's either shitty games or hard. There's one game he had a petition for it that people says you have to review it, and that's Ghosts and Goblins. And he would say, why, it's a great game, but then this is like he said, he's just like, I gotta do it for the petition of it, but then he like reminded, it's like, yeah, it's a great game, but it's hard as boss. Speaking of which, Ghosts and Goblins is another game I had the pleasure of beating, but holy, I don't think I can consider myself doing an LP of that game. Like, I would do an LP of almost every hard game I've ever beat, but I think there are 2 games that I don't really want to cross right now doing an LP for, just because of their inability, not inability, just because of it's almost it's borderline too hard. They're easy enough to beat, but to record, like even Ninja Gaiden, I could record Ninja Gaiden, and like yeah, sure, I had to do some tedious parts over again, but I think I would have a lot of trouble making an enjoyable LP of Ghosts and Goblins, and the second being, of course, Battletoads. No one wants to watch me play Battletoads and then like start the whole game over like 5 or 6 times, because that's what it's recall. If I had to do an LP of Battletoads, I would seriously. You have to see game overs in that game. You can't beat Battletoads without seeing a few game overs and then start the whole game over from the beginning. You cannot. And if you have not played Battletoads before, look it up. It's considered one of the hardest video games to have ever been made, and it is whatever you make. It is whatever you call it, because I beat it. It's not overly hard, and I've never played enough like to be on that level where some people even laugh, saying it's like PSA. It's like, I can't believe people find that game actually hard. And you know what? Playing it enough, I can actually say I can see where they're coming from. But I find that boss so easy in a certain way because of the way it is. You just keep attacking it. But I thought I was going to die that time. But yeah, back to Battletoads. The thing about Battletoads, the game is built. It's like Rare. That was one of Rare's first games. Rare had not. I guess they had no idea that game would be famous for its difficulty, because I don't think Rare even understood or really troubleshooted the game, or really put the game that much into thought, other than say, how do we just make a really hard game? I guess they never really put too much thought into really the difficulty of it. But when it came out, I think that fame is what led them to make a sequel exactly as brutal. I don't think the game was. I don't think they understood really how hard they were making that game. But it's not even that hard. The game is cheap. It's all about cheap deaths, and every level has some form of cheapness to it, or just being challenges that are too hard that ensures death. So it's like we're in Ninja Gaiden, you have like if the enemy will knock you down the hole in Ninja Gaiden. In Battletoads, it's almost like Castlevania in the game where like one of the stages in this Castlevania game is like the whole thing is trapped. Like the next level after this one, I believe, is the whole level's full of traps. Battletoads is essentially the game. The next level in this game, it's all traps. One hit cheap kills. So yeah, there you go. Battletoads is Block 8 because this game is done in blocks. Battletoads is Block 8 the game. So every mistake, it's funny because the first level is like a beat 'em up game like Double Dragon. You're like, okay, cool. And then after that, it's like you're in a level that's actually fairly challenging. It's like, okay, I can die quickly here. And then after that, there's the third level that leads that wind tunnel, which everybody remembers, and that's when it all begins. All the cheap deaths. That is the start of the misery. And everyone remembers the wind tunnel and gives up there. And the biggest pain in the ass that game provides is like, hey, this is the whole game. This is where you can actually cry because you will have to, once you get through the wind tunnel. By the time you beat this game, the wind tunnel will actually be easy. When you beat this game, it's like, oh, there's nothing to the wind tunnel. It's easy. I'd almost recommend getting the warp halfway through. Because last part's the hardest, but even the last part is easy. Compared to the rest of the game. Because that is Battletoads. It is cheap deaths, like right from, like I could think of everything that can kill you cheaply in that game, anything. Oh, there you go, that's a cheap death. There you go. But anyways, like, gears that chase you and flatten you. So many gameplay things that were remade, like in the Donkey Kong series, is like, there were so many aspects in the Donkey Kong series, easy to tell that they were inspired by Battletoads, and not inspired in a way, it was the same company that made them. I don't know if a lot of you know, but the people who made the Donkey Kong Country series made Battletoads, so I guess the best way to explain Battletoads is that we all know that Donkey Kong Country is not a hard series, but I'll tell you one thing. If you had to play Donkey Kong Country, any of the Donkey Kong Country games, and how do I put it this way? Donkey Kong Country gives you 2 monkeys. If you had to beat all 3 of the Donkey Kong Country games with just 1 monkey, no other monkey, the second monkey is gone, and you had to beat all 3 of them, and no, not all 3 of them because this is still a short game. So say try to beat Donkey Kong Country with just the 1 monkey and no halfway barrels. I think Donkey Kong Country 3 made a hard mode, which kind of touched on that, but they always gave you the 2 monkeys at the beginning. The Donkey Kong Country 3 had cheats that tried to do that, but still, 2 hits compared to the 1, because I'll have to say that once you get so far in Battletoads, there's no point even in a life bar. It's a completely different game. It's no longer the beat 'em up that it claims to be. It's not. The beat 'em up is over. It does turn to Donkey Kong. That's why Rare had their second chance with that. But again, they did a better job with Donkey Kong just because they made it easier. Because everything about that game is. If you actually had to play, everything about it is Donkey Kong. But again, it's just. It's still even harder though. Even everything I described, Battletoads is still harder. But again, if any of you beat Donkey Kong to the point there where you are today, where you say, Donkey Kong is easy, that's where I am. I used to, as a joke, this might sound funny, but I used to take a lot of pride in being the master Donkey Kong. Yeah, I was only a child, but all the same, I used to take a lot of pride in that, so it's kind of embarrassing for me to think back of that now. But that's because I could, I had, when I was right into it, I used to play the game like an addiction, to the point that I could actually put the controller down and play it with one hand and get through half the game without even using two hands, using my thumb on the, you know, it's like it got to that ridiculous level, and I would be running too and cartwheel and do whatever you do, and if I recall, I even remember it's like Donkey Kong Country 2. In fact, I remember Donkey Kong Country 3. This is no joke. They used to, in the Nintendo Power magazine, they used to have records. Now, it means not the day. Wait now. Give me a second, I just go. Okay. Means not today, but in Donkey Kong Country 3, I made the record of getting 105%. That includes using the cheats that make the game harder. Don't let the word cheat bother you, but the cheats that make the game harder. Ugh, how do I try to say what I'm trying to say? There are the two cheats that makes the game harder, and that's the only way they get 105%. To get 103%, you have to get everything in the game. To get 105%, you have to, yes, don't mind these strange numbers. To get 105%, you have to use both cheats. The one cheat gets rid of your halfway barrels, and the other cheat gets rid of all the DK barrels where you can get your Donkey Kong buddy back. The only advantage of that is that you start. Oh shit! The only advantage of that is that you start every level with both Kongs. But knowing that you gotta go through every level without getting them back and without halfway barrels was very daunting. I beat that mode on my score it says 1 hour and 51 minutes. The whole game, including Last World, with all bonus levels and DK coins, in other words, full mastery, 105%. And I beat it in an hour and 51 minutes. That to me, and I remember as I looked on the Nintendo Power magazine, and I used to collect them religiously, every single book, just to make sure that my record was never beaten in Nintendo Power that I know of. Again, today that means nothing, because if that game existed today in the internet world, maybe I could even look on it, and I could even probably even Google how fast would it be. What's the fastest record for getting 105% in Donkey Kong Country 3? And chances are my record has been demolished. But as far as the Nintendo Power magazine was concerned, I was number 1. But I was never smart enough to ever send it in. I never did send it in to the company. It was so silly of me. But, oh well, I still have the personal satisfaction. Now I'm rambling off again, isn't I? But yeah, that was my first video game triumph, and it led me for years to believe that I was some kind of I believed that I was some kind of video game master, but only because me being naive. Because I was so proud of it, I started bragging, and then I didn't realize that everyone's saying, "Oh, that's amazing," all that, but I didn't realize that they were being sarcastic, because I was so proud. What kind of accomplishment is that in the long run? So people in school, that was one of the many things I got poked fun for. I remember one guy's like, Grant, the best in the world at Donkey Kong. I was so young, I never even thought they were poking fun of me, so, oh well. But now that's, and then, then I started feeling like I was the best in the world at GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, because there was one guy in town who was always considered the best, and same for Pokemon. There was one guy in town who was considered the best, but it was a small town, so that was the only thing I knew in life, right? Because the internet was still dull up back in the time, so I thought I was the best at Pokemon too. I thought, oh, there's no game. That's my attitude at that time. There's no game that can challenge me. And then there was all these games I never even tried. It's like this. It's like, wait, I think I'm like some master video games I didn't even play Ninja Gaiden. Like, what is wrong with me? And then I realized, shit. Now, even today, after beating Ninja Gaiden Black on Master Ninja mode, after going through this game, only just picking up a couple years ago, only beating it once before, and probably beating it a couple times there now, I feel totally confident. I beat this game on hard mode. It's just, oh shoot, oh no, and now I'm gonna die. But yeah, what was I trying to say there now? This level drives me crazy. But anyways, yeah. And then, so like, even when I played this game, Ninja Gaiden's exception, but when I played this game, I could play this game there now, and it's like, yeah, fine. But then I look at YouTube, and it's like, oh, beat this game without getting hit. And I even believe I have a friend that's close to that level. He can beat this game without getting hit. So it's like, just, when it comes to, you want to be really proud of being really good at video games, realize that there's, in some ways, you'll never reach that dream. I think I first started having that dream ever since the movie came out with the Wizard game or something. I think it was just called the Wizard, but anyways, I think that became every kid's ambition after that movie, when the Mario Brothers 3 was like first introduced to the world. But anyways, yeah. I guess it's not too. I guess a game like that, a movie like that, is not too hard to make every child's ambition. But even today, I see my son's brother, 10 years old. He has the ambition. He wants to be the best, and he almost loves, like, he's amazed by the things that I could do, and almost loves it. But even at the same time, like, to be able to beat this game without getting hit is phenomenal, I think. Oh. And even, what was I about to say? I mean, I just need a few minutes to re-catch my thoughts. Because I just, that part of the game. But anyways, okay, yes. Like, a lot of people say, oh, the newer games is not nearly as hard as the older games, but I thought so too until I realized, it's like, Guitar Hero, first of all, is a new game that will kick your ass. Okay. Yeah, Guitar Hero. Now, that's another one of my accomplishments that made me feel like hot shit is beating Guitar Hero 3 on Expert, and except for True to Fire and Flames. And it's those few challenges that just blows my mind that made me realize, shit, it's just, it's an impossible thing to chase. But it's fun though. There's no doubt about it, because like says, just knowing, like, take the different genres and just looking for like the highest challenges, and just the way it is. I just see it's good. Like, what's the word? Oh, did I screw that up? ugh. I see there's a lot of advantages to our minds and cognitive strength. In some of these games, it requires a lot of skill. And then, wait again, let's think about this other thing. You see me play this game, it's like, oh wow, it's like, and playing the Ninja Gun games, oh wow, but then I can play, what, let's think, for example, any fighting game, like Mortal Kombat. I'm actually finally starting to, oh, I knew I went the wrong way there, because that plant, I didn't even want to deal with that then. So I knew right there, and then I was pretty much going the wrong way. Oh, and then, ooh. But anyways, and then there's fighting games. I feel fairly confident in Mortal Kombat, but a friend of mine can beat me for fun in that game. And I find if you really want, a lot of people will say, oh, but no, this is Mortal Kombat. But any type of fighting games, I think, really separates the strong from the weak in the gamers. A gamer who can master fighting games practically has mastered gaming. So now imagine, my friend will probably just, my friend will look at me and go, ho ho ho, and be like, if he heard me say this, and he's gonna watch this video, so he's probably gonna love that I just said this. Oh shoot! But I think a person who can master fighting games can master gaming, because I think RPG games, even though it uses all kinds of level of thought, and they're sometimes so hard, like they can range in difficulty. RPG games is a learning process. RPG games, anyone can beat an RPG game. Anyone. It's just, if you know how to play the game, they're not hard. They're just plain simple. Anyone can beat an RPG game. But a fighting game, I'll put it this way. The online, that's where the true mastery lies. If you can go on the internet, play a fighting game online, shoot. If you can play a fighting game online and truly master your competition, you've mastered your competition. In other words, for example, if you can master people on Mortal Kombat, for example, if you can learn the combos in Mortal Kombat, you can learn or any fighting game that matter, if you can learn these things and then apply it in the game, because learning is only half the thing with fast-paced games. That's why I says RPG games. No, the fast-paced games is where you have to apply it. You have to apply what you learn. And in fighting games, you'll never get that feeling more than you'll get in the fighting game, how hard it is to apply the knowledge you learn. And that's why I still feel. Now, before I continue, I believe this is the hardest part of the game, so I'm going to need to stop talking for a second. But first, I want these. I really believe this hardest part of the game is so random. I've even counted these blocks. I've done everything. And it seems like every time I passed this part was by fluke alone. And I've played games that has disappearing blocks, but this is the first time I actually seen disappearing blocks, which actually really trips me out, because it's completely randomized. It's scary even. Give me a second, you know. Ugh. Put down them. Yes! Where's this guy? I don't find this guy. And this is the Frankenstein monster I was saying that. I don't find this guy so hard though. That's a good thing too, considering the level that followed him. And there you go. Frankenstein monster is beaten. Yeah, but anyway, again, like I says, for those who can for those who can play online, in like a game like Mortal Kombat or Tekken or Street Fighter. Because online fighting game is pretty much a new version of what used to be people getting together at an arcade machine and play and see who's the best. It's now gone online, and without a doubt, a gamer like me really can learn to appreciate what it takes, the hours it takes, and even the sheer amount of people, the hours it takes, and even the sheer amount of people who had to be filtered out. Yes, the word is filtered out. I've been filtered out. You see me beat a lot of games, but can you imagine your ambition to say, I will do everything to be the best at this game? No. Chances are you'll be filtered out, and you got to show respects to the people who do not, the people who have, it's just super, and that's what online is. Oh shoot. And that's what online has taught me. That no matter how many games I beat, no matter how good I get, most of it is pattern memorization, and the true skill is in the fighting games, and I've been filtered out. I simply been filtered out. In other words, if I want to say that I'm like the best at gaming, it's too late. I'm already filtered out. It's like say that competitions, say if that Nintendo competition from the Wizard movie actually did exist. I've already lost. I'm sitting in the audience. That's what fighting games has taught me, and it is real. It's not fake. So if you're one of those gamers who feels like you're one of the best, but you won't give fighting games a chance, saying, nah, fighting games are for the simple-minded. No, my son, you are the simple-minded, because the only reason why you don't give fighting games a chance is because you really don't like getting your ass kicked, because it doesn't fit with your perfect gamer mentality. And that's what I find, that the people who are better at video games hate fighting games. Why? Because they loosen them. What do you think the expert gamers hate fighting games? They don't realize the shit they're already playing is easy as fuck. This is easy as fuck. But Mortal Kombat Online against people who has possibly punched in more hours, or it's just simply got a more functioning mind and will permanently be better than them. A lot of expert gamers cannot even comprehend. Cannot even comprehend that reality. And if for anyone who listens to me now and disagrees, I'm sorry to say, if you feel that you're not good at fighting games, there's tons of people better at games than you are. No matter how many games you've beaten, no matter what you've done, because chances are every accomplishment you've made in the game has been done by somebody else. Every accomplishment, everything you feel like you've done is only a repeat. Somebody else has done it before you, or after you, and probably has already topped your best. But you already know that because you've gotten your ass kicked in fighting games. Now that may sound incredibly biased, and it's like you can't really justify but being good at Chrono Trigger and being good at, like, again, Mortal Kombat is two completely different worlds. It's being good at Chrono Trigger is simply as collecting a whole bunch of Mega Elixirs and collecting the strongest equipment and defeating Lavos' ass. That's being good at Chrono Trigger. Or going up to level 99, whatever your certain definition of good gaming is. Shit. Yeah, and I think that's why my friend who can beat this game for fun will say this game is easy, because compared to what he's used to, this game is easy. Yeah, and yes, he could beat me at Mortal Kombat. So, and now, granted, he put a lot more hours into it, but I just feel he's better. Just no doubt about it. But then again, who knows? So I think the only thing that separates me and him, like for the games the games I've beaten a lot more games than him that I know of, because I see him beat some good games, but it's only the same ones I see. But Dark Souls is the only exception. I heard and it's a big exception too. But anyways, what was I saying? Well, I think, yes, like I was saying, I think the only thing that really separates me and him is, and I think he even knows it, one big thing that I think separates, other than just the plain skill alone, because when it comes to the top of the top, skill is everything. The top of the top. Skill is everything. But persistence. If you lack the persistence, your skill ain't gonna get you nowhere. Because it's no good for someone to say, well, if I had tried, I would have beaten it. Saying, yes, maybe you would have beaten it, and saying, I've beaten it, is two different realities. Anyone. So, yeah. I think that's probably the only thing that separates him, but also separates us, because he's seen me play enough to know my level of persistence is almost extraordinary. But my level of skill is on par, vaguely average. I feel like for skill I'm an average gamer, but my persistence is not ending. I sometimes get mad, but I just keep at it. It's almost insane if I feel like, hey, this is a tough challenge. But there are some challenges that I have taken away from. I don't remember most of them, but I think the only challenge that I can remember, just say no, not for me, not even touching it. That's Through the Fire and Flames on Expert in Through the Fire and Flames in Expert mode on Guitar Hero 3. That is, like, I've even beaten Battletoads, and I've beaten Ninja Gaiden Black on Master Ninja mode, but I will not face that song. So if you never played gave Guitar Hero a chance to even look at it, but if you're wondering, it's like, what is it about that song that scares the guy who's claimed to have beaten like the oddiest tough games? And just Google it. Just Google it. Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, I believe it's called. Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. Through the Fire and Flames by, oh, I even forget the name of the band. Yeah, I'm actually forgetting the name of the band right now. I used to know them all to pieces. But yeah, that's by far the hardest challenge I've ever seen in video game history that I will never take. There's also some mobile apps of like games like Tetris that I've mastered, but when I go into, again, when I look at the online aspect, like some of these even brain games that you'll see, I play them for fun. I don't know what to do for your brain. Like, what is it on your iPhone 4? It's this thing called Clockwork Brain. I love it. Oh shoot, I better be paying attention. But yeah, Clockwork Brain, I love it, but it's one of those things I realize, oh wow, when I look online, this is absolutely, I feel like a dumbass. I find the best thing to do here with these small bets, the best thing to do with big ones, stay under them, believe it or not. Best thing to do with small ones is attack as fast as you possibly can. But, because these little coins and shoes hurt you, and so does the gold that comes out, but the faster you attack, it's like they shoot out gold, But if you attack them, it cancels out what's coming down, and you shoot at more. If you attack them fast, their attacks never reach you. That's what I find from this guy. But I find him a rather tricky boss. But he's one of the classics too. He's one of the bosses I give credit for. Medusa was not given credit in this game. So yes, it's the 5 originals. I think it's 5. 5 or 6. What is it? There's Medusa, the Giant Bat, Frankenstein, Death, and Dracula, and the Mummy. I know I went in a very poor order then, leaving the Mummy last. But anyways, I gotta pause this. In fact, I'm gonna end my video here because my son just woke up, so I'm gonna plan on continuing this video later. And I'm gonna save it here right now. And actually, no, I'm just gonna leave the game on. So I'm gonna end my video and upload it, and then take care of my little boy.